Yet another blockbuster weekend or week of NBL action, and we get to do it all again tonight. Melbourne United and Sydney Kings. But first, we're going to break down the week that was. There was blowouts, there was close games. We're getting a few more close games, but right off the top, I want to congratulate you, Damon Lowery.
On what?
On the NFL Hall of Fame.
That is the most oldest, most lamest joke of all time. You guys just keep trotting it out as it wasn't funny the first time you said it.
I don't think I've ever said it to you.
You guys go backwards and forwards.
I've said it to Derek before. I've never said it to you.
I actually really like this colour combo. Now, I think a couple of weeks ago you blended into the background, but I really like this. You've done well. Did you pick that out?
So anyway.
You know what? I'm going to text my good friend Bryce Cotton now and just see what his opinions are on the jacket. Now, let's jump into it. Now, Damon, you must be in favour with someone in the production studio because instead of talking about the Illawarra Hawks getting absolutely blown out by the New Zealand Breakers of all teams, we're going to talk about how they almost beat the Adelaide 36ers.
Well, as we know, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Hand grenades, that's the one.
But it was a great response by the Hawks. I mean, after getting the doors completely blown off of them by New Zealand Breakers, and shout out to my man Bryce Cotton for coming to town, putting a smack down. But the Hawks needed a response. Head coach Justin Tatum came out and apologized in the press conference to the fans, as he should have. I think the team should do the same. So, yeah, they gave a spirited effort, and the game was there to be won, but it was just, it wasn't enough, Pete.
I like the way they went about it with this game, because you're right, they would have left a sour taste in everybody's mouth. It was a really poor performance against New Zealand at home in front of your fans. They had a chance to send it to overtime, that foul there, and Dave O'Hickey, who we'll talk about in a little bit, he was sensational, but they made some defensive adjustments, which I can highlight in a couple of minutes' time as well. But this is kind of the Illawarra Hawks you're expecting, right? Wani was great. JaVale, Tyler Harvey's figuring out now playing alongside Dave O'Hickey. Again, he won't have to do as much as he's had to carry the load of so far. QJ Peterson's still going to find his feet. So it's all there. I'd be leaving that game feeling quietly confident from the Hawks, knowing that as long as Friday's behind us, we can still turn this thing around. They've played least amount of games of anybody. There's a whole lot of games to come because of the Ignite Cup. All you got to do is finish top six. And if you're playing your best basketball, anything can happen.
They also started the season overseas. So maybe a bit of, you've got the championship hangover. You've got the fact that you've been overseas to the start of the season. I think Tatum might have mentioned that sort of chaotic start to the year. So there are, and I know we hate to say it, I'm not even going to use the word. I'm going to say there are some reasons as to maybe they're not starting as quick as possible. But I want to admit fault with something. Because when everyone was saying, Dave O'Hickey, he needs to be back in this group, it's going to change everything, I thought, unless he's Michael Jordan, it's not going to change everything. But I'll tell you what, they look like a different group when he's on the floor. I've
got no excuses, reasons, or justifications for why they are where they are. They are who they are right now. So that's all you can go off of. We're not even talking about Sam Frawley, not talking about QJ getting there late, whatever. This team currently is way better when that man right there, number 6, has the ball. He brought to the team some poise in the backcourt, some dog in the backcourt. His spirit, I know he missed a free throw that could have, but they don't even get in that situation without Davo. Yeah. Davo does so many intangibles that you can't even stat him. He's everywhere, like 4 block shots. Who does that as a guard? So, look, that team has enough weapons, but Davo is exactly what that team needs. He's shown why you don't need another starting guard. You need another backup guard. That's what QJ's role is going to be, and hopefully he can get it going immediately.
I have a feeling that if Justin Tatum was to rewind time back to Friday morning, he would have just thrown Hickey in the starting lineup. Because he just sets the tone. Like, he came off the bench, you expect him, he missed a whole bunch of time, and they were already in a bit of a hole because what he does on both ends, all the little things, he nearly had a triple-double in this game as well. But everyone else feeds off that. It's contagious the way that he plays. You know you're never going to question his effort. And when you're out there, if you don't give the same effort, it's going to be magnified because of how hard this guy's going. And Justin Tatum will just sit you down. Having said that, yeah, I'm with you. I think there's enough pieces there that once it all starts to continue to flow, unfortunately, they've dug themselves a hole, so they can't let games slip like this one. I know Adelaide's a very good team as well, but if they continue to trend in the right direction, good things will happen.
What was the change from the game against New Zealand to the game against Adelaide? Because we've seen a couple of crazy swings, I think more so than years past this year, from teams playing abhorrently and then playing good a couple of days later. What was the major switch?
Now, there's a technical side to it that I want to look at here, but also I know Justin Tatum came out in the press conference and questioned the effort about the players and the desire. That's not for me to talk about. I'm just talking about the structure-wise. And I keep talking about the deep drops coverage, right? How hard you have to work. Look where JaVale McGee is. There's some bigs in the league who can step out and shoot the three. Wani working so hard. That was first play of the game, right? you just understand that with his deep drops, look at all that space. Karim Lopez gets down, gets a nice floater. He can kick it back to Sam Menenga if he wants, right? This is all in the same game, all in the first quarter. Because of how deep JaVale McGee likes to play, you get caught up with, okay, we have to rotate, do we not? Sam Menenga, well, he's looking forward to that matchup. He can step out.
He's playing like a man on fire.
But that's the first game. This is Adelaide on a noticeable difference, right, from JaVale McGee. Look at the level he is at there compared to standing off because it's Bryce Cotton. So I saw that and I'm thinking, okay, this has been spoken about, but also understanding, you know what, Mason Peatling will get you to guard the 5 and you're going to be the one to really get out and show at the level or to continue to play on the ball screens because he moves a lot different at the ball screen level than JaVale McGee. I noticed this intent in this Adelaide game, whether it was spoken about prior or not, or they just realised we've got to be up a bit more, but that right there, from what I saw from the Hawks, makes me excited.
Let me, I hear you. Now, styles make fights. Now, against New Zealand Breakers, obviously Sam Menenga, everybody knows Sam Menenga can pick and pop, shoot those threes. The deep drop isn't as critically bad as I think you're making out to be because every team, bar the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers, do it. Tyrell Harrison's in a deep drop. Jesse Edwards plays some drop coverage. Tim Suarez plays some drop. They all do it, but the rotations was late.
But
the rotations was late. Mason Peatling got over late, 3-ball. Wani Swakala-Bullock got over late, 3-ball. Now, sometimes rules, it looks like it's bad structure if the rules are broken. But if the rules were applied properly, we wouldn't have been even talking about this.
But that's what I'm talking about is the deep drops. And again, I go back to the years with Casper Ware, with Josh Boone, when I was playing alongside him, and then when he went to play with Andrew Bogut. If you can nail it, and we saw it in the Adelaide game, it can be really effective, but it puts so much pressure on the communication and the rotations that if it's not there, it's so easy to exploit. And I think having Davo out, someone who fights hard to not get screened in that guard position, we saw how hard Wani was trying to be fight over the screen, so they had other guys stepping in different positions, and they haven't been able to really make the most of it thus far. You do not want JaVale McGee out at the level because of how good he is as a rim protector, but it is a very, very hard defence if your rotations aren't up to par, and they haven't been thus far.
Well, as we pivot towards the Adelaide 36ers, let's have a look at what Justin Tatum had to say about Bryce Cotton in the post-game press conference.
Man, you see it. You said it right. It's very tough to, get a whistle, consistent whistle. I'm guessing they're doing the best job that they can. At the end of the day, we just got to play through it. JaVale, freedom of movement is not available out there. You got guys face guarding them and just not even paying attention to the game and just kind of keep hands on them. So that's difficult to kind of understand from a coach's aspect. But, we know where we're at. We know how the league protects Bryce, and which understandable. He is, he's a really talented player. So we just got to fight through adversity, and we did a pretty good job today.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people have different opinions on that. Now, I actually think that was quite a measured response, and I actually don't mind it because Bryce is looked after at times by the officials, which, again, we're not saying that's why he plays well. It's just he's the face of the league. It happens in every league on earth. You earn that reputation where there's a 50-50 call, it goes your way. I can understand how Justin Tatum's going to be frustrated because JaVale McGee is a superstar in his own right who has earned that reputation overseas, but I haven't seen him getting anywhere near the sort of reward that bigs have been cursed with for years throughout this league. So I can understand the frustration there from Tatum.
I don't think it's a league directive to
Certainly
protect Bryce Cotton, right? Bryce is brilliant at sucking in referees, but he's also brilliant at drawing fouls. That is a skill. I've watched 3 separate occasions in that game when he got Wani Swakala-Bullock to foul him when he shouldn't have. He got Daniel Greeter to foul him when he shouldn't have. If you late on the ball screen, Bryce knows how to initiate some contact. It's genius. Like we've all drawn fouls before. So look, it's not a what?
We have.
Well, it's not, sorry. It's not a league directive, but Bryce, like I said, Bryce knows how to do it. And he ain't the first one to do it. Rob Rose knew how to draw fouls. It's been Shane Hill knew how to draw fouls. Ricky Grace. Look, the list goes on and on. But the point is, teams got to just be more disciplined. Now, when you bring bench guys on, and Bryce is on the floor for 37, 38 minutes over time, he's always on the court when his team is in the bonus. He's always on the court when it's time to shoot free throws. So the Hawks has got to be more foul disciplined.
I look at it more of, though, when you do a scout, when you're coming up to play the Adelaide 36ers, 90% of it's about Bryce Cotton. So every single play, it's like, hey, where's Bryce? And the defenders who are going to him are always going to be more physical because everybody's locked in. And if he gets beat by someone there, the help guy who's normally popping up is going to be giving him a little bit of a whack. That's just what you have to do when you've got the greatest player in the league to try and make sure you stay with him. And I like that from Justin Tatum. He's playing the chess game because he has to. Like, this is the part of it. I think that's what you've got to do. I don't have any issue with the way he said it. He didn't target Bryce or that. He's just saying, look, JaVale McGee's coming in. And we've seen this, right? When you've got bigs that come in that we haven't seen play like this before. We haven't seen JaVale McGee, anybody like this. When Andrew Bogut came in, it took a bit of time to understand how to officiate the big men.
That's annoying, though. Why should it take time to understand how to officiate these guys? Because for me, when I see JaVale McGee, I want more of him over here. But it just gets annoying sometimes because these guys get in foul trouble with all these like tic-tac fouls, which other positions don't seem to get. It is always an issue with the centres that come over in this league.
Because they draw so much attention to themselves with their size. But JaVale McGee, as far as his freedom of movement goes, like you said, nobody's ever used to reffing a guy that size. There's never been a player like him, but even with Bryce, referees are accustomed to reffing against Bryce. Now, there's some new referees in the league who don't know nothing about Bryce. They might have seen some highlights, but they don't know how to ref him. So now when the game starts and JaVale is getting bumped and bruised or whatever, refs do not want to call fouls every single possession. If we say, just call the foul, well, guess what? If they did that, man, the game would be 4 hours long. So they got to let some things go. They're just letting the wrong things go at the wrong time.
But you can understand why it's the big men, because we've been preaching for years. We want to see the big men battle. We want to see them throwing their physicality around, and it's a lot more easy to see Bryce Cotton pushed around for his size compared to JaVale McGee, who's getting beat up by whoever it is down low. I think that's where it all comes back to. But again, as far as what Justin Tatum said, I've got no problem with it.
Well, he's getting calls off the court, Bryce Cotton. He had a call off the court as well. Before we play the clip of Bryce Cotton's response to something that you said, what was your original comment that had reaction from both Bryce and DJ over the last week?
It was on the NBL Now podcast. It was right before the Melbourne United Adelaide 36ers game. And I said, to beat Melbourne United and to be serious about winning a championship, I don't think they have enough offensive firepower. Because we saw Bryce score 53 to beat Cairns. We saw him score 7, lose to Sydney. So I just thought, as a team, I said they need one more piece.
Well, it seems a harmless comment. Let's see if Bryce Cotton agrees.
Honestly, he hasn't done enough as a basketball player for me to respect his opinion, to be honest. No, I usually don't listen to anybody, but especially not him.
Now, this is a hard one. I love Bryce Cotton. He's the best player in the league. He's the best import we've ever had in the NBL. But in my opinion, my humble opinion, I think it was a bit classless because as soon as you get personal, then you lose the argument. Bryce Cotton has been nothing but class his entire time in this league. I don't see, and this is just me, maybe I'm protective of you because you're my friend, Damon, and I know you certainly didn't take offence to it, but having to have a barb at personal achievements when you made merely a comment about the team needing a bit more firepower, I thought it was unnecessary.
Well, before I respond, before I'll give my overtime response, Pete, what do you think about it?
I think that he might have seen that you left him off the first team at the start of the year. I think there's a little bit more to that. Again, we talk about wanting to see all this from players. I didn't expect it. That's one thing for sure from Bryce Cotton. I did not expect that to come out. And I probably, if we're talking about things to achieve in the career, I probably shouldn't say anything either. But
yeah, I was about to say, hey, we might as well pack up and go.
I put a lot of hard work into trying to be the best analyst I can be, but yeah, I haven't achieved a whole lot.
Oh, look, no, I get sticking up for your team. He can't come out and agree with me saying they don't have enough offensive firepower because that would be taking a shot at his own team. They believe in their heart of hearts that they can win the championship with what they got. I don't think so. That's cool. But to bring up my personal achievements in the game, do you have any idea, man, how hard it was to average 25 points a game for the Mildura Mavericks in 1993? That was hard as hell, man. I had to go to Mount Gambier, man, on a Friday night. It's cold as hell in the icebox. Hard as hell, man.
Yeah. As someone who had to do that as well, playing
you know,
Ballarat.
Yeah, I'm with a road trip. You go to Tasmania for a triple header, a proper one.
You know what? I take it back. I've been in the trenches with you. I've been there in the trenches with you.
You guys think that was hard? Imagine having to do all that and not even get on the court and have to sit there and watch it.
And not even sleeping the day before.
Yeah, and going out all night the night previous. And even worse than that, to have your one little ounce of time treated as a joke on the entire basketball community for the rest of your life.
Yeah, we've got every right to say what we say, to be fair.
No, and you know what? As we finish that off, this whole discussion of the Bryce Cotton stuff, I didn't like the response personally. But I also don't mind it in a way because it's entertaining. Yeah. And I would rather have Bryce Cotton given clips back to people like this as the face of the league than I would it not happening. Because you know what? Everyone was talking about it and it was great exposure. So I think it's good. It just didn't sit that well with me, but good on it.
We sit up here, right, talking about a whole bunch of things, breaking whole things down, and then we want to get the same and we want that transparency. We want authenticity from the players. So I think when you boil it down to it, I'm with you there.
Sweet. If he brings up my bachelor time, then
then it's different.
Then it's hands on site. But let's jump back into the basketball. Southeast Melbourne and Perth, another absolute belter of a game.
Southeast Melbourne, man. I tell you what. I mean, I think because defense isn't sexy, they're not probably getting enough credit as they need to. But this team right now is just firing on all cylinders. And they're doing it on the back of their defensive end. Nathan Sobey is playing at a high level. Owen Foxwell's been unbelievable. Clearly, their confidence is contagious as well. But the way they're going about it under Josh King, which is no surprise to anybody, it's super impressive, and I don't think they're anywhere near their ceiling yet.
I'm from the defensive school where I love this. It is completely sexy to me. I mean, and John Brown III is such a one-on-one, like I said, he's a vice grip, a human
Sexy
vice
man.
grip.
He's sexy.
Whoever he's guarding, you got your work cut out for you. And they're doing it from top to bottom, from 1 to 10, Sobey with the big block. But Malik Lewis, the youngster, with NBA GMs in the building, yes, he scored 2 points, but he had career highs in rebounds, 11, assists, 6. Like, he's just doing everything else. He proved that you can play good and shoot bad, not score. So I like the way Josh is going. As soon as Wes Iwundu gets himself into some good form, they got more of an offensive firepower. But look, they're clicking right now.
What about we go to the young guys? Owen Foxwell has been so impressive to me over his time in the NBA, and I still think an incredibly underrated player. If he was playing for maybe a bigger club, and Southeast Melbourne will get there eventually, still early on in their lifespan as a club, but if he was at a Melbourne United or so, he'd be an absolute superstar regarded as, but he's just killing it.
You just remember when he was thrown in there a few seasons ago as a development player and with the confidence knocked down a big three in the corner and you're thinking, okay, is this kid ready? But continues to put in the work and now throwing the keys to a team that wanted to go out and contend this year, and he's been phenomenal. Right now I've got him and Sam Meninga leading the most improved player race. Flynn Cameron's hovering around the mark, but he's been a massive reason as to why the Phoenix are playing as well as they are. And to be honest, if you're Nathan Sobey is playing the way he is because of what Owen Foxwell's doing in the point guard position. It's no mistake. This is carefully thought out by Josh King, and right now it's paying off dividends.
Owen Foxwell, anybody that's here in Melbourne, obviously, that's known Foxwell, seen him play since juniors, under 16s. He's always been like this. This dude's belief in himself is through the roof. The whole Foxwell family got faith and belief in themselves. He comes on the court, plays D. He doesn't turn the ball over, and he makes his shots. He's always been a scoring type of a guard anyway. I like what he's doing, and he's got the perfect coach for him. Sometimes you can be that perfect player for the wrong coach. Those two guys right there, Josh King and Owen Foxwell, they're a match made in heaven, and everything is going great for them. So now, got to shout out Hunter Maldonado, because now he comes off the bench, no real pressure, but he comes off the bench. He doesn't turn the ball over. He gets assists. Look, the backcourt is rock solid. They rolling.
We're talking about match made in heaven. Father and son, Jaron Riley, John Riley. He is continuing to fly, and I always love bringing it up because people claimed nepotism when he signed as a development player, and I thought it was the most preposterous thing I'd ever heard.
I mean, I think he's locked himself into this starting point guard spot. Over the last couple of games, just the poise that he plays with, someone who's going to get the ball to Joe Luala-Chul, someone who's going to get it to Doolittle. He's knocking down shots. He's got 7 assists as well. But that guard rotation we keep talking about, Ben Henshaw, Elijah Pepper, they obviously bring in David Duke Jr. as well. I think that starting point guard role, I think this team with the makeup that they have, with all the offensive weapons around them, he's the one that makes them look most complete in that starting unit. He's the one who's settling them in, which is crazy to think a development player coming in. But anyone who knew him in college is not surprised. Maybe you're surprised that he's having this effect this early, getting thrown the chance to do it and delivering. But this is what I expected from Jaron Riley.
I believe he's a development player because of the roster was already set. It's not like he was brought in to go, hey, man, we need a 12th guy. Can you come play with us? Now, this dude is he's a proper roster player. Now, I wouldn't start him when David Duke Jr. gets up to speed. Let me just back up. I'm going to start him until David Dukes Jr. gets up to speed, because I think Jaron really come off the bench, gives you some great bench stability. He can knock the shot down. He's so poised. He just plays basketball the complete right way. But when David Dukes Jr. get here, we don't bring these guys out like that to come off the bench.
No, I would have potentially looked at David Duke Jr. in the two. I mean, he's a combo guard. He can play in either position. And then when Jaron really goes out, get the ball handling from there. I think that's what I'd be rolling at a starting five. They're still nowhere near, I think, figuring it all out until they get more time with David Duke Jr. as well. But they need some wins on the board.
If I was Jaron Riley, I'd be filthy at my dad. Signed him to a development player contract. Now, you mentioned that there may not be the position available, but John really has taken money out of his son's own pocket.
You can pay the development player.
He's probably not paying rent anyway.
Are you saying they're getting outside of the salary cap?
No, you can pay the development player whatever you want.
I probably should have known that. Because when I was a development player, they paid me zero. So good to see that the rules have changed since then as well. You're 2 seed right now out of South East Melbourne and Adelaide.
Oh, right now?
Right now. Very second.
I keep preaching about how defence wins championships, and if I'm talking straight defence, right now the better defensive team is South East Melbourne, so I have to give them the nod.
And I think they got more all-around depth, too. Like, Adelaide relies on basically 5 guys to do the bulk of the scoring. They had 5 guys in double figures against the Hawks, but I feel like the spread is more balanced with the Phoenix, so they're my number 2 seed right now.
And we'll preface with we understand that Adelaide smacked them a couple of weeks ago, too. I think
the game of the season.
I think the Phoenix look a little different right now.
Let's let the Phoenix get them at home.
If Josh King had his time again, he'd have a different plan than they had because they didn't execute and they didn't shoot well in that game either.
Certainly. It's time to jump into it. Ain't no cupcake league, though. Rest in peace to our brother Corey. He would have been loving what's going on right now, mainly because if the defending champs lost by 40-something, he would have been putting them to the flame. But alas, we won't be on this one. Let's have a look at this one, though, because the Twitter sphere, Magic Johnson. Now, usually you tweet things out. Could you get more obvious than Magic Johnson's tweets? Now, I know we're going outside of the basketball thing in this because it's about baseball, who took over ESPN for a little bit, to the ire of fans. With the series being 2-2, Game 5 is very important. Whichever team wins takes control of the series. Thank you, Magic.
He got roasted too for that. I didn't expect Magic to land on the cupcake.
You know how they say Game 5 is always the pivotal game?
Yeah, you're 1 away from winning it all. How much more obvious can it get?
I love Magic Johnson, but sometimes he'll leave a Lakers game and his tweet will be, what a game. If Lakers had have scored a bit more, they would have won. So if you want to go through the history of tweets there, it's absolutely unbelievable. But what about what's happening in Brisbane? Did you see that? Half-court shootout to win what I assume was $1 million. It was 10 grand. What?
10 grand.
Oh, in this economy, he makes it. Everyone is going crazy in the arena, of course, because they're locked in with the moment. They understand the crowd. Apart from Jack Heverin, who's clearly texting around his Triple M brothers talking about the cricket. Talking about the cricket, he misses it. But like a true professional, you never would have noticed because he flicks that mic back on and he goes straight to it.
As soon as he shot it.
I know you're locked in on the game, but just pay a little bit more attention.
To be fair, we very rarely see them hit it. And I've seen a lot of half-court shootouts be like $500. So I'm glad it was 10 grand.
That's because they turn up the air conditioning in the building when
just
they
make
shoot,
a little,
just to save a bit of coin.
What was the things we used to have when driving around when you're
Tamagotchis.
looking, the Navmans, right? Like when you get a little bit lost. Now, Marcus Lee, we've talked about him low in the Cairns tight ends. He needed one of these in this game. I was calling this game here. Have a look at Marcus Lee. Has absolutely no idea where the ball is. Alex Stevens with a shot fake. He's just looking around. Hey, where'd it go? This angle right here.
That's tough.
To be fair, he was ready for the rebound. He was there, ready for the rebound.
At least it didn't matter because the Taipans played a great game.
Oh, okay.
Wouldn't have had impact on it, would it? Sorry, I was in Perth. Did I miss something?
Tough break for Marcus. Hey, look, so I was calling the game too, Pete, and saw this.
Thanks, Magic.
saw the Sydney game against Brisbane and Bull Quall, who gets the offensive rebound and decided, scoring's too easy.
Oh, no.
I could have went up, but I'm bull spitting right now. Now we just kick it out and run the offense.
Man, it's time delay. He's playing smart. He's playing smart basketball. Don't let them get another shot. Take seconds off the clock. I'm with you, Bull Cole.
But he's still scoring the ball pretty well. But that time, he took him off, let him off.
That's what I was worried about. I was worried about our man might not have read the rundown. He's about to forget what his coach was there for a second, but we got to it. Break. We're going to chat my favourite team, the Tassie Jack Jumpers, up next. Struggles in the Apple Isle. The Tassie Jack Jumpers, well, they started off hot. Now, with some injuries in there included, but back-to-back losses this weekend, not where they want to be sitting.
No, it's not. And again, that Ignite Cup game against Perth, up 17 in the first quarter, and we were talking about how good they looked. Will Magnay come out strong? Now, I know he sat out the rest of the game after halftime with a scare, with an injury scare, but still, the way they fell apart in that was really poor. And leaves me with a lot of question marks about the team, because I'm really high on when they're healthy, what they can achieve. But Scott Roth's been talking about how desperately they want to get to FIBA break to be able to get those guys back, get David Johnson back, who we'll talk about is so crucial to their success. But right now they're struggling to keep their head afloat.
Yeah, I was shocked they lost 2 in a row in the state of Tasmania, but more shocking, like offensive rebounds. Like that was their thing. They used to be the team that would beat you up on the glass. Now they're getting beat up on the glass. I think they gave up like 15 or 16 offensive rebounds to Perth Wildcats. That is not what Scott Roth has been preaching since he's been here.
That's the worry for me, that there is sort of intangibles when you play for the Jack Jumpers. That is that you crash the boards, you work hard. There was a couple of slippages this week were not really injury-based, but it was those sort of core values that the Jack Jumpers have had so long. Now, I'm not going to knee-jerk react and get too worried about it because it was one weekend. But again, it's just one to keep an eye on.
I think it's more, again, we'll talk about the struggles in the Silverdome, but they didn't shoot the ball well. They keep blazing away from the three-point line. How else do you tick the scoreboard over when the threes aren't going down? And again, I think without David Johnson and Stark's not playing a whole lot, this is where I would have liked to see Tiger Campbell be a little bit more aggressive. We've called those games where he comes out, he's shooting the ball, he's getting in the paint. Sometimes he can get out there looking for everybody else. I think they need more playmakers while David Johnson's outside of Bryce Hamilton, who's been terrific. And you can't just say, hey, Josh Bannon, you're our next playmaker in the power forward spot, because he doesn't kind of play like a playmaking power forward of like a Xavier Cooks type.
But we're talking about the intangibles, and who are they missing? Like Anthony Drimmick, intangible guy.
Yeah.
Fabian Kristovich, intangible guy. They don't have Shawnee Mack. They don't have that intangible jack jumper guy right there that you can really go, there he is. Majuk Ding is obviously still there and does his bit, but he's been kind of up and down with injury. So they got a different lineup now, and they're going to have to redefine, I think, Pete the Jackie way.
Well, they're going to have to do it.
Tweak it.
Until David Johnson comes back. They looked excellent, right? And I really do. I'm still high on what they can achieve once he's back and healthy, alongside Bryce Hamilton, Magnate Bannon, Deng coming off the bench. I really do like the roster makeup, but it's more of those games now that we've seen of the slippage. Like, how do they patch that up and how quickly can they do that? Long season ago.
Long season, and I'm not as worried as I would have been previous to the season because there's not the parity that we thought there would be at the start of the year. There is some clear sort of bottom three teams, and Tassie's certainly not one of those. So I don't think it's as dire as it could have been if those teams had brought it. But let's have a listen to Scott Roth, what he had to say about their offensive struggles.
2 or 3 years of the same, like you just close your eyes and the score is roughly the same and we can't score a basket, and it's just Groundhog's Day. It's unfortunate. We solved some other problems during the course of the game from the other night with the rebounding and our aggressiveness and so on and so forth, which was great, but I don't have the stats in front of me. I know we went 3 for 25 or something. I don't know what it was, but we just couldn't score a basket. And 75 points is enough to win a game defensively, but it's just kind of a little bit of a Groundhog's Day and just kind of what we've done every time we've come up here.
Well, Damon, you said the defense is sexy, so clearly they're looking good, but they are dumb as a bat right now on offense.
Hey, look.
You can't have it all.
And I'm going to respectfully disagree with Scott Roth. 75 points is not enough to win a basketball game. It shouldn't be, not in the NBL. But their offensive struggles, Pete, as we look at that right there, here's what I'm talking about as far as tweaking the Jackie way. They slow the game down. They play possession by possession. Nobody is really allowed to get off the chain, so to speak. We've seen guys like Jordan Crawford have to reel himself in when he could have probably just had explosions. We're watching Bryce Hamilton, who is their leading scorer, and the only import on the team that can score right now. So, but again, everything has got to touch, swing. Instead of just going, you know what? Just go ahead, get up and down and get up a shot in the first 6 seconds. That's what I mean. I think Scott Roth could just bend a little bit and just let it air to the side of aggression more than, that real defensive-minded, clog it all up kind of stuff.
And I'm not worried about them being towards the bottom of like points per game offensive rating, because they are, right? It's just who they are, and they've proven they can go win a championship that way too on the defensive end. But you're right, they have these other pieces, and I think, to be honest, a lot of that is still because they haven't played a whole lot with David Johnson and Bryce Hamilton alongside each other and Tiger Campbell to kind of figure it all out. But the pace of play around the league is very quick. So it's like, okay, we've got to make sure we're healthy, we're firing on all cylinders to be able to compete. You mentioned Felix, they're the bottom three teams, and they're not one of those. Tassie, to me, seem like a team that they're going to be perfectly happy that if they're playing their best basketball when they come in the play-in tournament 5th or 6th, they're going to back themselves because they're going to do it on the defensive end and they'll find a way to a semi-final series. And to be honest, if they can do all of that, I'd have faith in them too.
What about this? Now, my State Bank Arena is one of the best arenas in the country. The atmosphere, everything. The Silverdome, quite the opposite. An abomination of a venue. Looks like an aircraft hangar. It is ugly. It is terrible to be at. It's got no atmosphere. And they don't like playing there ever. You've got to bulldoze the thing. Get rid of it.
Is that in Launceston?
It's the
I don't know where it is.
first ever velodrome in Australia. That's what it is.
A velodrome. Hey, it's 2025. We're playing in a velodrome.
Now, I will
Bulldoze
say,
it.
Kelsey Brown was courtside and was saying how the humidity with no air conditioners down there, but you look at that game against Cairns and both teams dealt with the same issues.
I was just going to say.
And I've called a lot of games of the Silverdome in the last few years, and I always talk about how tight the rims are, but normally both teams struggle to shoot. And to be fair, the Cairns Taipans couldn't miss in that game. Yeah. And again, they continue to pile on the pressure. So when they get their time again, you can't use the Silverdome as an excuse. And Scott Roth clearly didn't as well. He just said the guys come out here. Bryce Hamilton's never played there before, so he didn't know about the curse of the Silverdome going in. I'm sure he would have heard about it. But they was really struggled to tick the scoreboard over, whereas the Taipans, who have barely scored all season long, found a way to get it done.
Does Scott Roth listen to your type of podcast, that David Goggins stuff? Because he doesn't come up with any excuses. A couple of coaches in this league that give excuse after excuse. He doesn't give it. I reckon you guys are sharing podcasts.
No, he's a Navy SEAL. He's built to that stuff.
Hey, what about the Brisbane Bullets? We spoke before. There has been more up and down rounds from teams this year than any season previous, and the Bullets, it was them this round as well.
Yeah, Brisbane's they're confusing in a way, but one thing is they play with heart. So, yes, when they lose, they seem to lose bad. So Sydney Kings got a hold of them, and they laid down early. That hasn't always been the case this year. Nobody's had as much change to the roster as the Brisbane Bullets. But I really like what Casey Prather's been doing with Tyrell Harrison, and now they got the new guy, Dakota Matthias. I feel like over time, they will still be competitive in most games, but for whatever reason, they laid down Pete in that one against the Kings.
Yeah, I was shocked. I really thought this was going to be a cracker of a game. The Brisbane Bullets coming off that big win against Cairns, going into a Sydney team. But to be fair, you've also got to understand, Sydney were under the microscope all week. Xavier Cooks was under the microscope all week. So you had to expect they were going to come out strong. And you had to expect that Xavier Cooks was going to come out on fire, which he did, and we'll talk about later on. He was exceptional. But I was shocked to see them go back to a couple of those poor possessions on both ends where they just fell apart and to lose by 37. But that game, more than anything for me, Brisbane-wise, highlighted how important missing both, but if they had Mitch Norton or Sam McDaniel back, I think they would have provided more leadership on court to not allow them to be that deep in a hole.
Stu Lash has provided some of the best post-game presser moments of the year. Let's see how we wrap this one up.
You know, there was some physicality there. I mean, we're a home team with 2 former MVPs. We got 8 free throws to 26. We're not a club that's going to complain, but on our home floor, we deserve a bit more there.
You said the quiet part out loud, Stu. You're not meant to say that, but I agree with him. On home court, just like I agree that superstars should be somewhat protected, I can understand where he's coming from because the home team should get a little bit of that 50-50 call that I think most teams do, and he was probably right. I didn't think they got it in that game.
I saw you take a deep breath, so go.
Come on, man. Come on. Like, why do you bait me like this? You can't come into a press conference asking for shit. You taking your hat off, tap dancing. Can I please get a call, Mr. Referee? Damn it, you got to earn it, man. You can't come in there saying we're supposed to get this and supposed to get that. Damn it, I hate when they do that.
Damn, I loved being on air, so that'll do us. We're out. I understand, but you go back and look at the game and watching it, there was a couple that were missed on Tyrell Harrison down low, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he got a bit of contact there. But I look at the rest. Casey Prather shooting a lot of threes, a lot of face-up jump shots. Matthias is coming in shooting a lot of threes. Dukas is shooting threes. Jalen Adams threes and mid-range. They don't really have, outside of Tane Murray right now, they don't really have guys who are putting heat on the rim consistently to get those fouls. So that's the play style. They don't blaze away from three either. They normally do get it inside a little bit more. They get to the free throw line when they can. But, yeah, as soon as I saw you take a deep breath and I was watching this, I was like, there's more to it. That's not why they lost by 37. That's not why they lost by 37.
And what about when the other team, and Tyrell Harrison could draw more fouls if he wasn't doing dribble handoffs 95% of the time he's on the floor? Another issue. But when the other team puts their bench on and you got your bench on, now what's the problem? Are you telling me that after your starting 5 gets smacked, the other team's bench 5 can smack your bench 5? So at some point, somebody's got to stand up. And it hasn't been happening all season. That was a 1-off, maybe a 2-off. And at home, it never looks good at home. So, yeah, they got to regroup.
And, again, I spoke to Mitch Norton in the lead-up to this round and talked about how hard it is for guys to adapt the roles coming into the season. You look at this team if it was healthy, and I think they're going to be able to make a late run. When Sam McDaniel comes back, Mitch Norton, Tane Murray's had to change his aggression style in every single game. Now Matthias is coming in, which shifts things around. Dukas has looked really good. Harrison, one of the best big men in the league. Casey Prather, a lock for all NBL first team, continues to be unbelievable. Jalen Adams has looked good. All those pieces are there, and they've shown it. That game against Cairns was phenomenal. It's all about trying to, again, stay afloat until you get those bodies back and then see what you can do in the back half.
We talk about how much better Illawarra are when Hickey's in the team. Sam McDaniel is not as good a player as Dave O'Hickey, but his work on the defensive end, his ability to just share the ball, hit the open shot, he is pivotal to this Brisbane Bullets team. So that's a major, major out.
Oh, well, before Sam got hurt, the games that he was in, I think he played 2. 1 or 2 games, he locked up Jack McVay. I mean, he is a perfect defensive specimen. So as soon as he went down, their team got worse on the defensive end by 50%.
And then the leadership style of Mitch Norton, he'd be doing the best he can from the bench. But as soon as they get them back and they continue to build after the FIBA break, I like this construction of this Bullets roster.
I like him as well. You mentioned Jack McVay. We're going to talk about him and the Taipans after the break.
Reggie Miller. I'm trying to tell you, keep the Reggie Miller in Brisbane. Russell Moore plays for him, Drewy.
13 offensive rebounds to 6, and DJ Vasiljevic makes them pay. Foxwell from way downtown. There's no tyranny of distance for Owen Foxwell.
Hold up. Did Damon Lowery just say Dakota Mathias in his first game in the NBL was Reggie Miller?
Maybe.
That is a huge call to make at one game.
Maybe.
Oh, the disrespect. All thanks to Mitsubishi Motors. I'm not sure they want to put their name to that. We apologise, Mitsubishi, for having to sit you through that. That's a huge call to make. The last time you gave someone... That's not a nickname, is that?
No.
Okay, good. The last time you gave someone a nickname, they were almost on a plane out of here within a couple of weeks.
We won't clip that up of the disrespect from Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi, the Outlanders are phenomenal cars. I love those cars.
They are. Cairns Taipans.
Oh, good segue.
Up and down, as always, but they did show us a little bit this weekend.
Yeah, they did. That was a gutsy win to go into the Silver Dome. Again, they lost Rain Smith early, only played 9 minutes with a foot injury, and hopefully it's not bad. I know he missed time. He missed all of the preseason camp with a foot injury. Hopefully it's not the same thing there. But really, it was 3 guys. I think outside of Mojave King, who had 2 points, and Marcus Lee, who had a handful, it was Schofield, Andrew Andrews was terrific, and Jack McVay returning back to Tasmania. Didn't get his MyState Bank welcome back, but it was in the Silver Dome, and it was an unbelievable performance. But it all was started here. In this game here against the Bullets, I expected them to give them a run, and they got blown out once again.
Once Jack McVay gets in that kind of scoring mode, you got to come and double him. Now, everywhere else you can probably guard him one-on-one, but once he gets into that mid-range area, but I got to give Cairns just credit for just bouncing back. I love a good response. They get blown out by Brisbane, they go to Tassie, and one of our colleagues said there's no way they could win. It wasn't us 3, it was the other one, the ballhead dude.
We've got a couple of those.
Derek, sorry, it was Derek Rucker. Sorry, it was Derek Rucker.
Yeah.
No, but everybody tipped Tasmania. I thought they would win as well. But Cairns just showed what you can do when you got heart.
Man, I feel bad for the Cairns Taipan supporters because, and again, I don't know, is someone to blame for this? But this was the year where they were coming in, hey, we've got the cattle, we can do this. There's been injuries, but what has to change? Because there is injuries every single year. I mean, something, is it the training load? Is it the staff? I don't know, but something has to change publicly because they're injured every single year.
I mean, some of them are freak injuries, obviously, but as I said, Rain Smith coming in injured, but Sam Wardenberg's missed time every single season. He's so important. I went back to looking that game before Brisbane of their starting 5 they originally had signed. We would have been Wardenberg and McVay together in the front court, which would have been fun. Schofield, Rain Smith, and Ashton Hagans, who would have been one of the best defenders in the league. His resume says that, what he's achieved on the defensive end. They don't have a point of attack perimeter defender, so now they've had to shift gears when Wardenberg got hurt, the visa thing with Hagans, to bring in Andrew Andrews, who's a score-first guard, and they've needed him to do that. But it's made Schofield have to do a whole lot more than they originally intended. And all the injuries around them, Higgins-Titcher has missed time, Statman. But for them to go down into Tassie with all those excuses and to actually play with heart and really grit and grind it out, that's what Adam Ford said in the press conference in Brisbane. He said, look, I can't force them to play hard. I need them to just find it within themselves. Hopefully that sparks something here. And again, Sam Wardenberg due back in December. I'm not saying they can make the top 6, but it is a long season if they can keep their head afloat.
You're certainly implying that they can make the top 6.
Yeah, I am, actually, now that you say it. But if they continue to play that way and can get a couple more wins before FIBA break and before Sam Wardenberg comes back and everyone else stays healthy and Rain Smith's not out for a significant amount of time, maybe.
historically, they haven't been able to just have continuity in their roster. They can't just every year. It's always a total 7 or 8 new guys in the team. It's hard to build that kind of that cohesiveness and that chemistry. You need to be able to have guys returning. You talk about it all the time. So this year's team, we'll see what happens in next year's team. How many guys are going to hang around?
You know what? I think they'll be injured. Because that is, unfortunately, what happens every year. I don't know whether they're recruiting in the hospital ward. Maybe go out of there and understand it's a big, bright world you can get it from. But I just feel bad for the Cairns Taipan supporters because they are, in my opinion, some of the most loyal within the league. And year in, year out, it's just disappointment. And this was the one where you really circled it and said, we've got Jack McVeigh, we're opening the checkbook. As you say, the starting 5 was great. For me, something's got to change there, or this is just going to keep happening. It's been too many years in a row where it can't be something where somebody is potentially at fault, in my opinion.
For the injury's sake.
For the injuries, whether it's training load, whether it's off-court stuff, maybe they've got to get another physio, I don't know. But something, it's become a pattern now, and it's alarming, because you can't go into a season every year and be like, oh, we're going to have to deal with this.
I don't know what the answer is for that sake. I don't have the reason for all the injuries. I saw that
More
Halloween
deep heat
post
at the club. Maybe
I saw the Halloween post, which I found on social media was very.
They did do a very good job with that. But again,
funny.
I sympathise with the Taipans fans who are having to deal with this injury stuff again. You have been a supporter of Sam Meninga when a lot of others weren't. You even said all NBL Pete. You've been a supporter, but not to the level that Damon has. Now, how did he reward you? He took your little Hawks and he toyed with them like a pit bull at a playground.
Sam did. He went down there and made a complete mockery of the Illawarra Hawks defense. But I'll tell you, I said it from day one. Sam Meninga, name another forward that's better than him in the league. He can score from everywhere. 3 balls. I heard you say about shot fakes, Pete. Yes, he has one of the best shot fakes in the league, him, Majik Ding, and Casey Prather. He posts you up, he can score on you. He got the mid-range game, 3 ball. He's strong, he can defend. Look at these numbers he's putting up. They have to make, in my first team all NBL, you got to be a playoff team, or I'm not putting you in there. But he is clearly, I think, the front runner for a first team all NBL spot, provided they win more games.
I'm not so big for all NBL first team on winning.
Hater.
Matter. I don't think that matters too much for that, but I think he's the clear favourite right now for the most improved player. But what impresses me the most is I caught up with him when he was in Puerto Rico. He had a great season there, and we did an NBL Now in the off-season, and the quote graphic came out. He said, I want the respect as one of the best big men in the league. And reading the comments of people like, come on, man, like, what have I seen yet? And he talk the talk, and now he's walking the walk and showing that. And the way he's playing, his size, he can step out there and shoot the 3, as we've seen. He is a mismatch nightmare, and I love the way that he's continued to grow. He's only been in the league for a couple of seasons right now. He's had a small stint in the Summer League with the Lakers. I don't think that'll be his last either. And for the New Zealand Breakers, all I'm saying is, lock him up quickly. Lock him up quickly for a long term. And you're talking about marqueable guys. Lock him in quickly with the NBA out, because he's going to be deserving of that opportunity. But you've got teams around the league thinking, oh, hang on, this guy we need. Bigs like that are very, very hard to come by.
Hey, I'm already on the case. I'm going to Japan over the FIBA break, going to Tokyo with the family. I'm going to be putting so much dirt on that guy's name, no one will want to go near him. Accusations, heinous accusations you can't even believe that we cannot say on this show. Japan is not going to want to touch this guy by the time I'm done dirtying his name, because I want him in the NBL that bad. He owns my favourite move right now, the one where he's posting up the quick spin baseline straight into the throwdown. I think that's my personal favourite at the moment.
If you try to body up on him, he's going to spin off of you. If you lay off of him, he eats up the space and shoots jump hooks. And again, with Parker Jackson Cartwright running a 2-man game, pick and roll, what do? Do you switch it? They punish you. Do you deep drop? Parker punishes you. Look, he's a nightmare. I don't see any holes in his offensive package. They just need to learn how to win more games on a consistent basis.
Where do you see New Zealand right now? You've implied that the Cairns Taipans could be fighting for a top 6 spot. Do you think New Zealand have what it takes to be able to compete later on in the year?
Look, it remains to be seen. This is NBL 26, and anything can happen, but, like, their chance, right? They got to be a chance, because that middle of the road is Derek likes to call the middle class. Anything can happen in that middle class.
Well, that's what I keep talking about, because you've just got to get to 5th or 6th. Well, you've got to get to 6th spot, right? And if you're playing your best basketball, everyone forgets what happened in the first half of the season. 4 extra games compared to last season because of the Ignite Cup. You just continue to build, and you peak at the right time. You sneak into the top 6. Anything can happen. Having said that, I think there's enough gaps around. You can talk about the locks who are going to be there at the business end. I think there's enough spots for teams to really start to think in that mentality, and that'll make a fun end of the year.
Anything can happen, including beating the coach in Supercoach. I think it happens quite a lot. We're going to chat about it after the break.
Less than you think.
The coach. Beat the coach. Is that what they chant?
No.
Okay, well, they don't chant that, but maybe they will. Maybe that's because no one's beating you.
They say he's too good. He's too good.
How's it going at the moment? So right now we've got one game left. Your team has been locked in for the week. You've got no players left to play, but everyone else who is coming up attempting to beat you still has a game in hand.
So there's my team there. I had JaVale McGee as my captain, 71 points. I had my vice captain, Mr. Fundamental, Casey Prather, and the rest of the guys there, Schofield, Dukas, Tane Murray, and my man Toddy Blanchfield. That squad right there is going to get me enough wins to beat at least 11,000 of you.
There's 150,000 people in the competition. You only beaten 11,000?
One day it will continue to grow.
Oh my God.
Hey, look, please register to play. Now, just because you don't have a good chance of beating me, don't let that discourage you from joining.
And as someone who knows Damon very well over the last couple of years, it genuinely, if you don't like some of the stuff that he says, I know some people, you tickle him the wrong way with your Bryce Cotton comments, that sort of stuff. If you genuinely don't like him, this is the best way to get to him. He doesn't read your comments. He doesn't care about any of that stuff. Beat him on this and he'll be genuinely depressed for days. This is how you get back at him. So sign up and get involved in that. Let's jump into who's under the most pressure in this coming round. Pete, we'll kick it off with you.
I'm going to start. I'm going with two. I'm just going to make it up on the spot. But I'm going with New Zealand Breakers and the Taipans because they both showed us the glimpses that we've been asking for. They both showed us, like, hey, this is, for the New Zealand Breakers, hey, this is what a team that's starting to put it all together can look like with PJC, Brockington. Baker hit some shots as well. Lopez looks unbelievable. Again, looks like a top 2 draft pick and not number 2. And the Cairns Taipans, we've been asking for grit and heart. That's what Adam Ford's been asking for, and they showed that as well. So I want to see, can we get both of those things for these two teams down the bottom again this round? I don't want them to be one-offs.
Under the pump for me, Dean Vickerman.
Oh.
The hell you doing over there? You trying to win everything? Now, it's going to be tough now, Dean, because everybody's coming for you, Dean. Everybody's got you penciled in. They're trying to find some cracks. I've heard some good reasons, too, why you might lose. Because anything can happen. I heard that one. And I heard another good reason why you might lose. Well, the closer you get to, the more winning you get, the closer you are to a loss. So, look, you just got to battle complacency. And I know there's still another gear that you guys can go to. Remember Joey Wright? Bristol Bullets? They won like 21 in a row back in mid-early 2000s. So everybody's not used to seeing long winning streaks. Dean's gonna get one, so just make sure, Dean, stay focused.
That was neither. I did not have that excuse. You're just talking generally. I did not say that.
Keep it rolling.
Do not put words into my mouth.
Hey, I'm going to add one in. I'm going to say the Adelaide 36ers because they've come out and said, multiple players, hey, we got the firepower. That's, what's Damon talking about? He doesn't even won 16 championships. He doesn't deserve to speak. Well, you better come out and play well. You better come out and have the firepower that you've spoken about. But I'll tell you what, there is a big game coming up. You mentioned Melbourne and Sydney. We're going to preview it after the break. Felix, it's Melbourne Cup weekend in Victoria, but the last time I checked, there's no 9-0 runners in that race, so ignore it. It is all happening at John Cain Arena tonight. Coming up, Xavier Cooks and the Sydney Kings, and their ownership for that matter, would love nothing more than to spoil the party for the undefeated Melbourne United, where it sounds weird, Damon and Peter Hooley, but the closer they get, the more you think a loss is coming. 10-0 sounds a lot better than 9-0.
Well, it'll be the best start in franchise history if they can do it. They're currently tied with the 2016 team. I'm looking forward to this game because I really think all the history, you throw it all out the window. This is two big city teams, two big clubs going at it. They've had history before. Delhi's obviously returning to play in front of United fans. Xavier Cooks was phenomenal against the Brisbane Bullets. I can't wait for this one.
These two teams have played some classics. So I'm not expecting anything less than that. But if Sydney Kings can come, because they've been a little bit Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde themselves, if they can show up with the team that went to Brisbane, that team will give Dean Vickerman and the Melbourne United all they can handle.
Brian Goorjian tells some great stories of his time in China where the owners of the team would come around with bags of cash and say, I hate this other team's owner. You can have this cash if you win. Now, that might circumvent the salary, I'm not sure. But Paul Smith, to me, one of the owners of the Sydney Kings, we know he doesn't like Melbourne at all. He'll be sitting there watching this game, praying that they end this streak. I think there's a lot of little storylines going throughout this game.
And I think it's all going to start and end with Xavier Cooks. Again, I think Kendrick Davis will do his thing. We've seen other guys step up, but he was under the microscope all week. He was in the headlines, and I expected him to come out and put on a show, and he did just that. He was super aggressive. Loved the way he absolutely attacked everything. I wouldn't even say they got him more involved. I just think he took it on himself to say, you know what, I'm going to do it the way that I like to just attack the rim, and even like plays like this, like just unstoppable when he gets downhill and gets a full head of steam. And I just love the way he went about it. And I hope the Sydney Kings realise that as good as everybody else is, that's your engine room right there. When he's going like that, he is very hard to stop. He's super unselfish. And when he doesn't have to score the ball necessarily, but when he's in that attack mode, everyone else plays better.
Had a quick little chat with Zave pre-game. Not going to tell you what we talked about, but I knew.
You kind of prefaced it like you were.
But I knew that he was going to come out and have a big one. But his teammates, that's what I got to give credit to. Xavier Cooks, everybody said his confidence was down. His confidence was fine. His teammates didn't know how to involve him because you got two ball-dominant guards. You got scorers all around them, but they just kind of hung Cookie out to dry. Not on purpose, but I'm going to disagree with you. They did get him involved early. He's running in transition. They kicked it ahead early. Instead of just dribbling it down themselves, they let Zay be the playmaker. And they isolated him on the elbow. Nobody can guard Zay one-on-one from the elbow. Internationally, there's no matchups.
So you're telling me that Xavier Cooks came to you and shouted on his teammates and said they haven't been passing me the ball. That's what it feels like you're hinting at.
I don't know what you're talking about, but that's not what I said. But I'm just saying, we had a chat because we're friends. That's why.
Yeah, the
but
information that was relayed afterwards would lead me to believe Xavier.
May I continue, sir?
You can continue.
Thank you.
I'll sit over here.
Yeah, so Xavier and his teammates, especially Dellavedova and Kendrick Davis, them two dudes right there, I feel like they played their best backcourt game. Now, Delly didn't score a lot, but he had 7 assists, I think 2 turnovers. KD, I think that was one of his best games. He's learning now how to pick his spots. It must be tough, right, when you can score all the time?
Yeah.
But no, he deferred, got the ball late in the shot clock, and then he went to work. They made sure Xavier Cooks ate, and you can see Kendrick post-game while Xavier was being interviewed, stand there admiring his teammate. Great to see. If that can continue, they're dangerous.
On Kendrick Davis, does Dash Daniels get first bite at the cherry there?
Oh, it'll be Tyson Walker first, but Dash Daniels is going to get another assignment. And I tell you what, every time he guards Bryce, every time he guards Kendrick, every time he guards PJC, just makes him a better player each time towards the draft next year. And I'm looking forward to that matchup, perhaps more than anything else, because of KD being one of the best guards in the league. Dash Daniels, the up-and-coming superstar who will be in the NBA next year. I just love those kind of narratives.
I think these are the big ones for me. This is where people are looking at this. If you're a draft scout, this is where they're looking at it. Offensive game, he's already got the touch. It's already going to come. Dyson Daniels is also a late bloomer on offense. I think these are the games where he can rocket up that draft board. People know who Kendrick Davis is. They know who Bryce Cotton is. Putting a number on these guys are the ones that get it done.
They know who Dash is. They've seen enough already. They just don't want to see anything crazy happen. But now Dash is going to get his crack as soon as he gets on the court, and I'm expecting him to do what he always does.
Look at that, Pete. Teams that have started 9-0 in history. Melbourne United, one of them.
Oh, OK. Sorry, you just stopped your sentence mid-word. Well, I'm just focused because your bet, what is it, 3 games, Melbourne United? You said Melbourne United will lose 3 games by the end of the year.
Why'd you add another game to that?
You said 3.
I didn't say 3, I said 2. Originally it was 1, and then it got pushed out.
Luckily, it's on live TV, so we'll go back and look at it from a few weeks ago.
I'm not going to get punked. You already tried to punk me with the golf bet with Leonard Copeland, which I will have to pay out. Hey, it's going to be a massive contest. Melbourne versus Sydney, 9-0, or does it all end here? Enjoy.